Hey, Reluctant Preppers. As Hurricane Dorian descends on Florida this Labor Day weekend, 2019, we are reposting 4 of our videos that we had published previously about hurricane survival, preparedness, evacuation from people who have lived in hurricane zones and learned lessons there to share with all of us. So I hope you'll enjoy and benefit from these. Share these widely with those you know who may be affected by that or those who care about them. Take care.
As a responsible person with growing concerns for your privacy and personal liberty, you want to know where we're headed and what you can do about it. We ask the experts what you need to do to take prudent and responsible action to safeguard your family's wealth and well-being, and what basic first steps will help you to be aware and prepared. ReluctantPreppers.com.
Welcome back, Reluctant Preppers. This is Dunagun Kaiser.
And I'm Melody Kaiser.
And we're here to talk about preparedness that we learned about from a recent vacation we went on to the island of Bermuda. It's kind of ironic because Bermuda, to me, was synonymous with a dangerous place.
Yes, right.
A place that people try to go to and never come back, from the Bermuda Triangle from when I was in junior high. But we went there and we came back, and we're here to talk about it. And while we were there, both on the way there, on the way back, and while we were there, we talked with many people and asked lots of questions that had to do with preparedness and tried to be observant about that, so we can share some of those photos and videos and the testimony of the people that we talked to with you today. And one of the things that was most remarkable was the study in sharp contrast. Is like in some ways, the island of Bermuda seems exceptionally well prepared to handle natural emergencies and that kind of thing.
Right.
In other ways, they've historically and even today seem quite vulnerable. So I guess we'll talk about both of those.
Yeah.
One of the things that struck us was when we talked about Bermuda at all, it's like, okay, you're in hurricane territory.
Right,
And
exactly.
in fact, one gentleman we spoke with said he had lived personally through 21 hurricanes himself.
And it hadn't been all through in Bermuda. He had lived elsewhere. But the one thing that struck us, we've been to Jamaica, been to some other countries. The one thing that I found amazing and I think smart, the way they built their homes is a lot of limestone, and the roofs were limestone. And the other unique feature on this island, since a lot of things have to be imported, that's the weakness of living in Bermuda, but they live off of their rainwater. So their roofs actually have, what would you call them?
Terraces?
Terraces, so that the water runs down and goes into their big cisterns, and that's how they live they get enough rain that they can use the water all in their cisterns. And I guess the water must be clean enough. Some people do have filtration systems, but some do not. And she said you just have to keep your roof really clean. So we saw a lot of really nice, well-kept roofs that were really white. I think I would feel more comfortable with the filtration system, but they work fine.
Yeah, I think it also speaks to the fact that by being so remote and located out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, their air quality there, everything is so low that, like a lot of in urban areas, major metropolitans, when it rains, every vehicle gets filthy dirty because it's knocking all the dust and smog and everything out of the air. But there, when the rain falls, it's enough to capture it and take it right into your cistern and use it for all of your domestic water supply.
Right.
She said many people just drink the water right out of their cistern.
Right.
And that is not just a supplemental, not just
have.
That's it is their water supply.
Yes.
Is the individual, and both on individual residential homes as on large commercial properties, and even we saw a military base there, U.S. Air Base that had been given back to the Bermudians afterwards. But an entire hillside was a rain capture area as well. So that's just part of life in Bermuda. Is you capture the rain and you save it in a cistern.
Right. And the other wonderful thing that so the hurricanes, when they do come, they don't do as much damage. Sometimes they will fell trees. She said sometimes a roof will come off, but she said because there's so few people and there isn't immigration any longer, if you do happen to marry a Bermudian, you have to wait 6 to 10 years of being married to this person before you even become a citizen in Bermuda. So it's not easy, and that's really the only way to become a Bermudian citizen right now is to marry somebody there. Not that everybody wants to, but if you did. So it's they've got 40 to 60,000 people, I think. Is that correct?
60,000.
60,000. And she said anytime there is a hurricane where there's felled trees and they're blocking the road, she said within a day or two they have cleaned it up because all the men on the island help each other out, which is a really neat idea of working communally together to make sure that their area is clean. And we saw, all races working, they would work together. So I think that's a beautiful statement of what people can do when they cooperate for survival.
Yeah, I felt a little felt a little like I was embarrassed because I bring this attitude from growing up in the U.S. Like there has to be some official central service that's going to help you through disasters or something. I said, okay, you guys live in this recurring hurricane area. Every season you're going to have hurricanes potentially coming through. Yeah. So where do everybody go to a central shelter when hurricanes come? And she says, no, the official policy is everybody just hunkers down in their own home, and our homes are built to withstand it, and everybody's got the supplies they need, and they've got the water they need, and they just weather out the storm, and then after the storm passes, they come out, and neighborhoods help each other get back on their feet, and it takes between a day and a week, and you're back to good again.
Right.
Because our houses don't fall down in hurricanes.
Right, exactly.
How refreshing.
That was just something that we really took away from is how important it is. Now, there were some areas, one is kind of, it wasn't humorous at the time for the Bermudians, but they're very dependent on getting things trucked in. We didn't see a lot of animals for, they don't have beef there. They have to ship it all in. So in 1861 to 1863, the British government wanted to, because we were in the Civil War at the time in the United States, they were building a military, getting ready to attack the United States. It was
the largest naval base outside of England.
And so the story was that the Bermudians, the United States must have got whiff of it, and then they blocked all the shipping lanes going to Bermuda, so that people were hungry. And when you're hungry and desperate, you're gonna do some things that another country's not gonna like, and Great Britain didn't like it. But the Bermudians made a deal with the United States. We will steal all of their ammunition that they were going to use against you. And you said they were going to give it to the United States. They gave it to the United States. So that was one way. Obviously, a war got stopped, so I suppose that was a good thing. But in desperation, the Bermudians cooperated with the United States. And the United States have been good to Bermuda as well. But you could say it could be a waste of, from different perspectives, it could be a waste of our taxpayer money, or we're just helping them out. So.
But the point that I think you were on there was that the vulnerability that you have if you don't have a way of providing for yourself. Right. They do raise their own vegetables. Yep. Many areas of gardening. She showed us the tour we were on showed us many different types of vegetable gardening and fruit gardening, that kind of thing.
And some of the wild, when we were on a tour, we could eat some.
It was an eco tour.
So they called it cherries, but I wouldn't have called it a cherry by what we called cherries. It tasted more like a tomato mixed with a red pepper, but it had a cherry pit inside, and so we could pick off the fruit and eat it, and it was very good. So they do have some, and then bananas that grow. They're a special Bermudian banana that is just theirs, that they can grow, and that does grow wild. So because we could just eat I would have called them tomatoes, but they call them cherries. So, because they look like a tomato, they're red and stuff. So anyway, so they do have some things, and fish would have been readily available, and they even said their snapper is extraordinarily good there. So they could live for a time without help from other people, but they are a lot of their resources need to come in and are shipped in. Like there's $11 a gallon for milk and $9 a gallon for gasoline. So
another thing of stark contrast is they're highly prepared in terms of their sturdy shelters and their rain collection, the cisterns, that kind of thing. On the other hand, they have a zero tolerance policy on firearm ownership. So no private citizen can own a firearm, and if you are found with a firearm in your possession, it's a mandatory 7-year sentence if it's in the commission of a crime or something, plus 5 years per round of ammunition that you have. So it's that was something that was like you felt like there was just this hot and cold contrast.
Yes,
like, okay, wow, everybody's really prepared here. Bet you guys can protect yourselves too.
Yourself.
Oh no, I guess not. Okay.
No. They depend. They were one of I think the largest forts. Not the largest, but they had more forts than probably anybody.
90 or 91 forts on that
on
island,
a small
21 square mile island. So they had the idea that you really need to be able to protect yourself from outside, and even if people got on the island, to be able to stop them from progressing very far. But that didn't extend to the general population.
No, they do have we'll say they still honor the Queen, but they govern themselves. So and they seem to be doing well. They do seem to be doing well.
It's
for
one of the most
themselves.
prosperous island nations
Yes,
in the world.
it is.
And note on the prosperity, we talk a lot on Reluctant Preppers about gold and silver and making sure that you have the asset in your possession and that kind of thing, and the ability to protect others from prevent others from taking away from you. So the original industry, we thought, the biggest industry in Bermuda must be tourism.
Yeah.
But they said actually that's only 8% of their GDP. That the majority of the rest, the largest industry they have, is from the reinsurance industry. There's so much wealth there that they actually insure the largest insurance companies in the world, like AIG and others. And how did they amass that original nest egg of wealth?
Yeah. Well, it was through pirating, actually, was their biggest and their main source of income when they first started out as a country.
Yeah,
the first inhabitants. They would lure the, shipping, either ships that were going somewhere else but were getting hungry, with big bonfires, and then they have a coral reef system that is very high, very impenetrable, shallow. So, like when we went snorkeling, for instance, we didn't have to worry about sharks. There were no dolphins either, but it's very safe to swim there because the sharks won't go over the coral reef.
The reef system
get
is
scratched
so
up too
shallow
much.
and impenetrable that there's only a couple shipping channels in.
Yep.
Otherwise, the entire island is
surrounded.
circumscribed with coral reefs that any ship approaching, not knowing about that, would crash on.
And so they would crash, and then the Bermudians would, we'll help you. So then they would raid their ship, and then they would say, well, we can sell you another one, because that was what they also did, was they would resell all damaged ships. They would fix them all up and then resell them. And it was only, you can tell the rest of the story about the Queen getting involved and why she got involved.
They were so successful at this that they were like causing a lot of significant loss to the maritime shipping traffic across the Atlantic Ocean. And Queen of England finally put the kibosh on it, saying, we don't mind so much that you're crashing other nations' ships, but you're crashing British ships because you can't discriminate who's getting attracted to your beacons that you're lighting on the hillsides, and so there are British vessels that are crashing on your reefs as well, and you're plundering them too. So you've got to stop doing this. And that's when they got out of the pirating business and remained in the shipbuilding business a little bit, but they mostly went into the insurance business because they had this vast fortune.
They did.
And so that's how you get into the insurance business, is you start out as pirates and steal other people's money. When you get rich enough, then you can have a legitimate...
you can insure other people.
It kind of reminds me of like the protection racket. Like, if you pay us enough money, maybe we won't hurt you, So, but the people we met, they were very friendly.
They were very nice.
Entirely friendly.
It was
and we
very
felt safe the whole time we were there.
Yeah.
It's a very orderly, clean, and kept up island. We recommend anybody that wants to go to
Bermuda.
a nice vacation, go to Bermuda.
Yeah, there were people who'd been 15 times. A person goes every year for a visit. And then there was somebody else who went 7 or 8 times that we met on the ship. There were obviously so many people on the ship.
And they all made it both into and out of the Bermuda Triangle.
Yep. Yeah, and there was, I think that's why a lot of ships do get lost there, is because it's so shallow, and the coral reefs, they do
besides the hurricanes
crash. But all that.
They also mentioned people that are inexperienced.
Right.
This is a good thing for preppers to think about too.
Yeah.
Just because you got the tools doesn't mean you've got the skills.
Right.
And they talk about every year there are abandoned boats, like yachts and things, that come drifting by because people will maybe leave the mainland and think they're going to go out and take a cruise around, and they may run down their batteries and lose the ability to use their radio and GPS, or they may go for a swim and forget that they aren't tethered to their boat.
They're not anchored. Yeah.
So it's more than just having the right tools. You've got to have the skills to go with it, and really follow prudent practices to make sure that you keep your assets together.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and I guess, I don't know if he was just kidding or not, but he was saying, as a Bermudian, any abandoned vessel that you board is yours.
I think he did say he was just kidding.
Okay,
but
that may be
it could be a law that's
holdover
true.
from their old pirating days.
And just one other thing for preppers, I think that's important for all of us, is to remember that we do need a vacation every once in a while. We're all busy prepping and doing things to keep our families safe and secure, but our bodies do need relaxations. We aren't machines that can run forever. Even machines need a tune-up, so I would highly recommend everybody go on a vacation once in a while. It's important to tune up your body and get relaxation. And
it gets you a little bit out of the bunker mentality of preparedness, but realize that these...
And it can do learning. We learned a lot. Different ideas for storing water, so it was a great learning experience as well.
Yep, met a lot of real solid people, and we can recommend like the Hidden Gems Exploration Company that we went on the excursion with.
They were great.
Eco Tours. So A lot of good things happen in Bermuda. Check it out if you haven't had a chance.
Yeah.
And this is a Reluctant Preppers video about how you can survive and be healthy and learn about preparedness on a vacation, and in Bermuda specifically. We'll include lots of the graphics and images that we took there, and look forward to sharing more with you at our next visit.
See you next time.
With surprising new concerns expressed about Dunagun's changing hairstyle, one viewer even commented that hair is dyed, fried, and laid to the side. But what you're not being told is Dunagun's hair needs no dye thanks to the wonderful vitamin and mineral regimen that Melody recommends, and is not laid to the side to cover any bald spot either, since Dunagun's full head of hair is exceptionally well attached. However, Dunagun does use hair products only as a disaster prevention because he's at severe risk of catastrophic emergency situations. But although there may be some changes you don't like to hair, this is one kind of change you'll definitely want to have on hand if the situation gets hairy. Pure silver. And for a limited time, your first ounce of silver can be purchased at spot price with free shipping on orders over $99 by going to sdbullion.com/RP. And you'll be supporting Reluctant Preppers as well. It's within your grasp to get your hands on the perfect change for hairy situations at sdbullion.com/RP. P.S. Dunagun was not harmed in the making of this video.